What up guys, today we're going to be reviewing episode 8 of Dragon Ball Daima, and now this episode is actually pretty interesting. It was very entertaining. Unlike the other episodes where it was kind of a slow build and not much happened, and we had quite a bit of just, world building and backstories and explaining a little bit more, which is good and I like that, but I felt like the story was progressing very slowly and there wasn't much development. But this episode specifically had so much development and had everything that we wanted. We wanted action. We wanted, the story to progress. We wanted to understand more of what's happening. What's the meaning? What's the point of this show? What they're trying to do? What they're trying to build up and set up. And we got so much from this episode. So I can't wait to get into everything that happened in this episode. Now, this episode obviously starts off with Goku versus the Tamagotchi 3. As he's fighting against him, we see quite a bit of Goku's skills and his movements. He's fighting him first at base, and he's moving pretty fast. He's moving pretty quick and fluently. This guy's using his hammer, and Goku's using his power pole, and they're fighting pretty well. But Goku's pretty well outmaneuvering him, even though he is stated to be stronger than Dabura, which I stated before in my last video that would mean that these creatures are at least above Super Saiyan, or at least above Super Perfect Cell, and maybe around Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan's level of power, which isn't that crazy powerful. But at this point, remember, we're going all the way back to only a year after the Buu Saga, which they did get stronger than Gohan and Cell at that moment, but I wouldn't say unbelievably more powerful, but still decently more powerful. So to see Goku being able to handle him in this nerf state as being a child, but also being in his base form, is really impressive, because Goku would at least still need to go Super Saiyan 2 to be able to handle him, but he's doing pretty good in base. He's going back and forth. We see some pretty cool choreography. I don't remember everything that happened because this came out last Friday, and this Friday is almost coming up anyway, so I did forget some stuff, but I do remember there were some cool things. He was tripping him up with the power pole. He was basically, he was like smacking away his hammer. He was moving away, and he was the Tamagotchi was bringing the hammer back to him like Thor was, and they were fighting, clashing. Goku was going off. He was doing pretty good just in base alone, but at one point he throws the hammer and he hits him, and then Goku is holding it off with his power pole, and he's holding it back, and he's pushing it more and more and more. So Goku goes Super Saiyan, and as he goes Super Saiyan, he starts going off. He breaks his hammer in half. He starts whooping this guy's ass. They start battling back and forth. So the guy's like, you know what? I'm just gonna start firing energy blasts. So he starts blasting at Goku, but Goku's dodging all this stuff. He's moving around. He's fighting. The choreography in this was amazing. Goku looked really good, but then again, Goku's always the way he fights in the show is so beautiful. It looks so fluid. It looks so well. Goku's such a finesse type of fighter where he's so smooth with everything he does. I love that. But yeah, he starts whooping on him in Super Saiyan now, and then the guy starts firing energy blasts. It's not working, so he's charging up an attack. So Goku goes and gets on top of this little rock or mountain cliff area. So now he's charging up a Kamehameha, and he fires it out against his energy attack. So now this is the first beam clash, but it wasn't kind of actually a beam clash. But it was kind of the first beam clash in this series. But they fire their attack, and Goku goes Super Saiyan 2 to fire his Kamehameha. So as he does that, I thought that the energy blast, when they were going to collide, were going to have a big energy clash and a bit of a struggle back and forth like how we usually see. But that didn't happen at all, because Goku's power was just too much. As the Kamehameha hit his energy attack, it just went right through it easy, hitting the guy and sending him flying back, and he had to hold back the blast. So yeah, I thought there was going to be a little bit of struggle, but he blasted right through it pretty easy. So he was trying to hold it up, but he was struggling, though luckily for him, he was able to send it flying into the air. But as he did that, Goku rushed in and elbowed the shit out of him right into the gut, or I think he punched him, and then he dropped him, and he's like, okay, no more, no need to fight. You've proven that you're stronger than me, it's pointless. So Goku's like, okay, cool, that means I won, and I get the Dragon Ball. He's like, no, not yet. There's still one thing we have to do, which I felt was kind of BS. It was like, you already put him through a challenge of fighting him, which this is something that nobody in the Demon Realm has ever been able to do and win. So it's like, why are you giving him another one? But it didn't really matter. It was one of those stuff, and this challenge wasn't that crazy. It was just one of the stuff that, if you've seen like in New York, there's a lot of hustlers that do this stuff where they put something under a cup and they're like, I'll put this ball under this cup and I'm gonna move around all these other cups, and you have to pick one, and whichever one it is in there, the ball, they're gonna be like some money stuff, but usually they're getting scammed because they're hiding it or they're doing some bullshit. And he was basically doing that with the Dragon Balls. He had these metal cups. He was moving it around. He was moving around super fast, and then he asked Goku, "So which cup is it?" And he's like, "It's right over there, right to this on the right." And he's like, I said, "Which cup?" He's like, no. You threw it away over there, and it was hovering above a guy's head. So he was trying to do what like the New Yorkers do, where they hustle people on the street. So yeah, he was moving it around, and then he just tossed it in the air, and then had it floating above the guy's head. So he's like right there. He's like, "Okay, damn, you're pretty good actually. You're not just a great fighter, but you're also like really keen with your senses." So he's like, "Okay, you want it, here you go, take it." So he gave it to him, they fly off and they leave. And we do see him also trying to do a Kamehameha himself, which I thought was funny. I was like, that's kind of, it's cool because usually a lot of people, as kids, when they watch Dragon Ball and they saw Goku doing that, they want to recreate the Kamehameha themselves. So now he's doing the same thing as a lot of kids did when they first saw, that move. So I thought that was pretty funny. But then we go to Bulma and the rest of them, and apparently they found out the information that, yeah, Goku actually beat one of them and got the Dragon Ball already, and they're moving, they're going. So they're like, "Oh damn, really?" And they're like, "Okay, so we're gonna meet him at this check-in point to leave to the second demon world." So they didn't really get to explore the third one that much. They are gonna go to a hotel, but they didn't get to explore it that much. And yeah, and there was a funny little exchange with Hibisu. I'm gonna call him Hibisu, and Vegeta. Vegeta was like, "Hey, tell me more about these Dragon Balls," and he's like, he looks at him. And then he just ignores him. He's like, "What? Why are you ignoring me?" He's like, "Oh, you're acting like you're a king, but you're not. So I wanted to ignore you because you're being arrogant." And he's like, "Okay, please." I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah, we saw that. There wasn't too much for that, but it was cool to see that. I'm hopefully and most likely in the next episode they're gonna meet up. So they're like, "Okay, there's no need to stop off it here. We're gonna hear about like Goku from the locals because he's become a legend now." And they're like, "Oh, somebody's done this." So they're gonna hear about it, and they're gonna hear where he went, and they already know the coordinates. So they're gonna end up there hopefully in the next episode with them. But after that, we go to Arisu, who is the witch, who's the pretty much witch Supreme Kai's sister, and we see a little bit more of her planning and what she was doing. She's talking to Grollo. Grollo's like, "Yeah, he's really powerful. He got it. He's really dominant." And she's like, "Okay, that's good. That's nice." And she's apparently at this weird area. It's like this little like hut thing, and it kind of looks like a little witch hut. And she walks in there, and there's this old lady with the Majin symbol on her like clothes, and she's basically making this stew in this cauldron. And it was apparently. Oh yeah, before that, sorry. Once again, like, I'm going to be missing some stuff because this episode happened last week, and this week is almost Friday anyway, so I do forget some details, so sorry for that. But yeah, before that, we had King Goma and Degusu. They're watching the fight again, and Vegeta blowing himself up, and then Buu coming back together. But they noticed something off. They noticed something that was different, so they start to zoom in, and as they zoom in, they see her in the background picking up a piece of Buu and throwing it into this little jar thingy or whatever. So she's dropping it in there and she's taking it. So she took a piece of Buu when Vegeta exploded himself and blew Buu up into millions of pieces and came back together. She actually took one single piece, put it in this, and took it with her to obviously experiment on and to do something with it. And I was thinking throughout this entire episode, what is she trying to do? Is she trying to create a new version who's even stronger and more dangerous? Is she trying to make an army? Is she trying to use it to turn herself into a Majin, like how Android 21 did in the Dragon Ball Fighters game? So I was wondering what was happening. So she goes to this witch lady and she's like, "Yeah, it tastes fine, but I don't think it's right yet." So they go outside and she's pouring it out, and then she starts talking to her and she's like, "Oh," and I think the lady's name is Berta or something like that, and Edisu is like, "Oh, so you're the one who created Majin Buu?" And she's like, what are you talking about? Bibbidi did it. And then I was like, when she first said you created, I'm like, wait. Did Toriyama or the staff forget that he actually created it? Because they say it multiple times. Or maybe they're retconning it. And then she said, like, oh, no, what do you mean? He created that. So I was like, okay, so they didn't forget. That's good. But then she was like, don't lie to me. I know your secret. You're lying. You actually created it. She said that he didn't have that ability to create Boo, that you did it. And she's like, okay, yeah, I did it. And the reason why she didn't want to take credit was because when Boo got created, he was actually first wreaking havoc in the demon realm. And as he was wreaking havoc there, he basically went to the second demon world, and he was attacking the Glens, which are Supreme Kai's people. And as he was attacking them, he was killing them. And as he was killing them, they basically were trying to save themselves, so they fled the demon realm to the living realm to basically go to the Supreme Kai world. So that's why they came to the living world, because we've been having this talk and trying to find out why did they leave. The Namekians, we don't know why they left, but we knew that they left for some reason. And then the Glens, we don't know why they left. But we do know that they get the position of the Supreme Kais, which is a high position. And it was explained by Toriyama a while back how that works. But I feel like they kind of retconned it now, because from what it sounded like is if they came out as a Supreme Kai, they would just go to the Supreme Kai world or go to school and get trained in being a Supreme Kai and then go there. So it wasn't like they were like moving from there. It was just that they would leave whenever their training was done in wherever the realm there were, and then there. But now they said they're in the demon realm, and then now they said that they actually left and went to there. So it's a little weird with that. Sorry for that. But yeah, so that's a little weird, but yeah, that also makes sense why she does not want to take credit for it, because not only did she create such a dangerous monster, but she created such a dangerous monster that terrorized the entire demon realm and terrorized an entire alien species and nearly wiped them all out to the point where they had to leave their entire home. And these are very powerful beings, and these are very important beings. They're the Supreme Kais who watch over the entire Dragon Ball macrocosm, right? So the fact that she created that, it makes sense why she didn't want to take credit for it. And the fact that Babidi or Bibbidi, I'm pretty sure, he didn't mind, was because he's an evil asshole and he enjoyed wiping out life. So if he took the credit for creating a creature that was doing that, he would love it. Whereas her, she resides there and she's clearly seems evil, but she's not that evil as him. So she didn't want to take that type of take that type of credit or whatever from that, because now she's gonna be in serious trouble. So he took it from her, and I guess that's why she let him. But it's cool to see that we get a little bit more of the lore, and we get explanation on Boo. This moves the plot a little bit more further. I'm just gonna explain the story a little bit more, and then I'm gonna get into talking about how this is a really interesting story plot and why I like it, and talking a little bit more about it as a whole. But she says that she admits that I created it, he didn't create it. I just let him take the credit because I didn't want to take the credit of basically creating a monster that did all that. And we also found out why the Glens left their homeworld, because of Boo. So, and it makes sense because Boo, when we saw him in the living world, he was attacking the Kais and killing them. So it seemed like that was just from the beginning he had that type of mindset to wipe out the Kais from the beginning. So he went in the demon realm, tried to take them out, then they left to the living world, and that's also makes sense how he left from the demon world to the living world. So as they left to save themselves, he went to go after them and then attack the living world himself with Babidi and stuff. But as we find that out, and we find out she's the one who created him, we also find out something else, that apparently she states that that the last Boo that they had was a failure, that he wasn't a successful one, and then the new one that they're creating is going to be more successful, because the last one had no control. It was uncontrollable. He even was going against his own master and trying to kill him, and he killed one of them. So that was the problem with Boo, was the fact that Boo is just crazy and reckless. But also I'm guessing they also mean that this version that they're going to be making is going to be even stronger, because it makes sense. Why would they make one that's just as strong or weaker and just have more control? So this one, it is going to be the completed version. The other one was the unsuccessful version, and as this being a completed version, is going to be more under her control. And on top of that, it's going to be also more powerful, which is going to be cool to see. And that was a cool development to see. But after that, she also mentions that she's going to use the Dragon Balls and she wants to become the Demon King, which I already assumed that, it makes sense. But I thought she was just going to have, Goku take out Goma, and while he's, injured in the fight or depowered, that she was going to take him out. But it seems like she didn't really need that anyway. She just wanted him so he can get the Dragon Balls because she realized that, hey, none of us in the demon realm have ever gotten this, so we're clearly not powerful enough. But some of these people in the living realm, especially this guy, is pretty powerful. And if he can handle Boo, he could definitely handle these guys. So he most likely can do it for me if these idiots can't do it here. And she also acknowledges that Goma even though he's not as powerful as the other Dragon Ball characters that we've seen in the Buu saga, he is definitely still quite powerful and too dangerous for her at this point. So she needs to do this whole plotting thing. But it's cool to see with that. And then she said she's like basically has Goku as a pawn, so she's gonna let them collect the Dragon Balls for her, and then end up stealing them. And as she steals them, she's gonna use them to create a wish. Maybe she's gonna get the gem thingy that Goma was talking about. So she's gonna have the power of the gem, and then have even more powerful Boo under her control. I wonder if he's going to come out as like Fat Boo or Kid Boo, or just a completely different looking Boo type of creature. That might be cool. But we're going to have two Boos. And this is funny because I remember the end of the Boo saga, Goku mentioned, or like Vegeta mentioned, that we need to destroy Fat Boo, and Hercule's like, no, don't do it. He's good. He's innocent. He's like, what if he gets mad again and gets lets out the evil version again, and then we have this whole problem all over? And Goku's like, it's okay. That won't happen. And it is kind of true because Boo's not going to do that. But now with this whole new thing, it's kind of funny because that was the thing that Vegeta was worried about. And now it's coming through fruition, but just through a different means. It's not the same way that, that he suspected it was going to happen. But that's pretty interesting. And I want to talk more about that, but I want to go and talk about the rest of what happened in this episode. So they realize that we just see Goku and the rest of them flying, and they're trying to get to the other place. They did say it's going to take them a few days, so most likely next episode they're going to show them still traveling, and then maybe at the end they're gonna transport to there. Hopefully they just get over there because I'm kind of done with the third demon world. There's not really much here at this point. Most of them are just low level grunts. I want to see the second one because that's where the Glens came from. That's where the Shin came from. That's where we're gonna learn more about the lore, more about the Supreme Kais, how they're born, more about just the demon realm itself, and we're getting closer and closer to the other place. Also, I think the fight against the second one. The second Tamagotchi, I think, is going to be a lot quicker than the third one, where it took 7 episodes. I don't think it's going to take that much because, like I said, it's only 20 episodes in this season. They can't waste that all on there, especially with the new revelation of the Boo stuff. That's obviously going to be a big thing. So it's not just going to be him being these 3 Guardians and then just making the wish and stopping Goma, and that's it. He has to do that, and then he has to stop her, and then he has to stop Boo being brought back. So let's talk about the whole Boo stuff. Now, a lot of people say that them changing it from Babidi being the one who created Boo, or it was Bibidi. I don't know. I always get those names mixed up. I forget who's who. Babidi's Bibidi. So Bibidi. If some people were saying, oh, well, this is a retcon, and I hear this all the time. I don't think this is a retcon. This is just an explanation, because a retcon basically means that something was previously established that was 100% set in stone, but then later on it's either completely ignored or it says something that contradicts it, or it is completely changed and it's made complete BS. I think that's what a retcon is, but this doesn't seem like a retcon. You can kind of, I guess, classify it as one, but the way I see it personally is... it's pretty much just like we thought a certain information was some way, but it wasn't fully shown because there's nothing that proved that he did it. It was not. We had statements about it, but we didn't see him actually create him, so we can't really say that that information was set in stone. It was just a statement. So I don't really consider this a retcon, and personally, I don't mind it. I actually enjoy it because, yeah, it was cool to think of him creating it, but this works because let's say he did create it, and then this lady helps her out. If she was just somebody that learned how to do it too, then it's gonna be like, well, how could she make it as good as him? He was the original creator, and he was the one who knew it best how to create him. But since the fact that she was the original creator, then it makes sense that she was able to create a more powerful version. It's like, oh, she's the one who did it, so she should be. It should make sense that she should be the one to make the more complete version. Also, I like the fact that she said the other one was incomplete. Not only due to the fact that the controller thing, but also not being as powerful. That makes it good because then it makes a bigger threat. Because I know a lot of people are thinking that what's going to be the big threat? These Tamagotchi guys might not be that powerful. King Goma's obviously not that powerful. Even though Goku's been nerfed, he isn't nerfed so significantly. But now with having Buu come back, this is a big thing because remember, in the Buu Saga, Goku barely beat him. He only beat him with a spirit bomb from a bunch of other people, which wasn't through his own means of power. And that's one thing that was mentioned in Dragon Ball Super at the beginning of it. He talked about how the fact that, he's training because he wasn't strong enough to beat Buu on his own. And that if another threat comes out that's even tougher than Buu or scarier than Buu, he needs to be prepared to be able to handle it. So, but at that time, the 4 years passed, so we got a lot of time. Whereas this one, only a year has passed, and he was a big threat there. So we don't have all these other godly forms. We only have Super Saiyan 3, which could have worked, but it was kind of iffy if it might have worked. And the time that passed was only a year, so he couldn't have gotten significantly stronger. So we already had a threat that was, or an enemy that was a big threat not too long ago, right? We had somebody that was a big threat not too long ago, and not too much time has passed, so they clearly haven't gotten significantly powerful. So for him to come back being a threat again makes sense because, like last time when he was a threat, they didn't get that much stronger than that. So that makes sense. Also, they've been nerfed, so it makes even more sense. And the fact that it was a weaker version and they're gonna make an even stronger version, it makes even more sense why he would be a threat. Because the big problem I had with the Resurrection of F storyline was we brought back Frieza. He's been dead for a long time. These characters gotten way stronger. They got him so many new forms, and they especially gotten way more powerful after Battle of Gods. It makes no sense for him to be able to handle them. But for Buu coming back, it makes sense because only a year has passed. Super Saiyan 3 is still the only transformation that he has. He hasn't gotten that much stronger, and he's been nerfed. And then also this is an even more powerful version. And unlike Frieza where he just trained for a bit and got stronger, this one it was just stated that he was created incomplete and they're going to create a stronger version, which I think, I like that. I think that's cool. And that gives a new enemy and threat. It gives more, stakes in this series. And it gives a big stake because those robot creatures, those robot guardians are, interesting, but I don't think they're going to be that powerful. So we're going to have that where you have King Goma, then we're going to have her and her creation. I want to just see how this new Buu is going to look like. I want to see how the new Shenron's going to look like from the Demon Realm, what its capabilities and what it's going to do. But yeah, it's just cool to see. I like the direction it's going. And normally I hate bringing back old characters because I think that's lazy. I know a lot of people saying they should have brought back Cell for when they mentioned it a while back before, Dragon Ball Superheroes, where they brought back Cell Max. They were saying they should have brought Cell back for the tournament. I was like, that's stupid. We need to just move on forward and get new characters. Stop treading back with old characters. But when it comes to this one, I think this one's a little bit different and better because Frieza, they just resurrected him. They had no real plot. It was just he comes back and he wants his revenge. It was basic. And then it was too much time had passed, too much of a power jump, and then him going to surpass it. It was such a lazy way. And then Cell came back and just it was once again Red Ribbon Army. Once again bringing back androids. Once again bringing back Cell. And then Cell was somehow able to handle them even though they had way stronger. They have godly power, but humans creating bio-organic creatures are strong enough to handle, these godly beings. It makes no sense. But this one, they're not that powerful. Not that much time has passed, and he was the last big threat. So, and they didn't beat him with their own just power. They had to do had another means to beat him, right? And he's not just coming back just to come back because they actually had a story prior to that. Whereas those other two times where Frieza and Cell came back, the story of them coming back, the story, there wasn't really a story. It was just them coming back and then the story forming around them coming back. Whereas this one, there was already a story and then now he's added to that story. So the story isn't around Buu. it was already its own thing, and he was just an addition to it. So I think that's good because it showcases that there's more to it than just, oh, it's Boo coming back and having a rematch. It's, oh, there's a bunch of stuff happening in the demon world. There's changes. There's these other threats. There's this other thing they're going through, and now Boo is also getting brought back in a new way, and also him getting created through a magical means, a completed version. I think is also fitting and it makes sense. So I like this version the best. Out of the three main villains that have been brought back to be a threat, I think they did the best with Boo. This one I have no problems because they did everything right. There's no problem with the power consistency. There's no problem with the story writing. There's no problem with the creativity. There's no problem with it just being lazy or just supposed to be nostalgia bait, because this was all building around the demon realm, the Boo saga already, so it makes sense to bring him back. I just thought that was really cool. Also, like, finding out she's the one who created, I thought that was also pretty cool. I didn't have a problem with that, and seeing the more complete version, I just can't wait. Also, this makes Arisu's plan have more meaning. It's better now. It showcases that what level she's willing to go, because not only is she having this whole like bringing outsiders to attack the new king so she can take the throne, but also trying to get the Dragon Balls and then try to recreate this monster and then have it under control. I think that's also pretty cool to see. And also maybe we get to see this Boo absorb. I want to see if he absorbs some of the people. I want to see what he's going to absorb and how powerful he's going to get. But yeah, this is going to be just cool to see what they're going to do. This obviously going to build up to another Super Vegeta versus, Boo fight. But maybe they might go in a little bit different direction. Who knows? But yeah, this is going to be pretty cool to see. I don't have much else to say. This episode was pretty good. We had to start off with a banger ass of a fight. Great choreography, great animation. Just good fluid movement. It was just entertaining and enjoyable. Nobody else had any complaints about it. Then they finally had the rest of the cast coming to the demon realm and then getting closer to them. And then we have this whole revelation and more about the story, developing and more of the story progressing going forward. So whatever complaints people had in the past 7 episodes, which were legit, at least now in episode 8, we're getting faster. We got already a good fight that they wanted, a big fight. We got more story progression. We got new progression of a story. We got new lore. We got a bunch of stuff. So they hit on every front, at least on this episode. And I really just can't wait for the next episode. And it's going to be really insane to get into that one. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next time.